Hi, today we are going to talk about a technique called Cockpit flow, which helps in performing a sequence of actions necessary to accomplish a task related to operating a module. For example, F16 called startup, which I'm going to use here as a demonstration of the concept. The main advantage of the flow is the ability to stay current in numerous modules at the same time, as it gives you a common workflow framework that only needs to be filled with module-specific details. Before we start, it's important to note that the flow method is supplementary to actually learning the module, because we have to know where the switches are, what are their functions, as well as there are some module-specific considerations to remember. Switches labels should be treated as reminders, rather than primary source of information about the function of a given switch. Why not use checklists then? They are truly invaluable, especially in the beginning, but soon you'll notice it's cumbersome to constantly switch between a checklist and the cockpit, in search of the next switch to flip. Also, there are some time-critical tasks, which require doing them from memory anyway, and flowing through them helps to accomplish that in a timely manner. The core tenet of the flow method is going through the cockpit from one side to the other and flipping the required switches as you go. Because you're going to look at each of them, there is little risk you're going to overlook something. The direction of the flow, right to left or the other way around, depends on how the switches are arranged. Even for the same module, some tasks are better to begin on the right, while others on the left side of the cockpit. For every jet startup, first we'll need electricity and fuel source, then means to provide the engine initial rotation, then fuel introduced at the right time. In the Viper's example, it goes like this, from left to right. Battery on, main power on, jet fuel start to position start 2. Once the secondary engine warning light goes out, we can set throttle to idle. Once the engine is running, we have to switch on all the avionics, which will use another flow, in this example from right to left. For modern modules with multifunction displays, another flow can be used for setting up all the pages and sub-pages prior to takeoff. Here, the direction of the flow is dictated by the display's placement and the logic behind the pages themselves. At first, you'll have to select the master mode or main function, and then follow up with some functions and specific settings. The Viper also has the data entry display, which hosts a number of useful settings. Here, the most straightforward flow would be to go through the main buttons first, left to right, then go through DED sub-pages while following their numbering. Once all of it is done and there is no stone left unturned in the cockpit, we're good to roll. Take note that I didn't mention various checks and settings that are either non-mandatory in DCS or should be performed at a later stage or even immediately before takeoff. It's up to you. How deeply do you want to follow real-life procedures here for the sake of role-playing, and yet another cockpit flow will work for this as well. Thanks for watching and see you next time.